Hello friends, it's Lisa, and today I'm going to be chatting through some of my anticipated releases for 2023. So I think this year I'm going to do a few anticipated releases videos throughout the year. So this is going to be the first one. I'm going to be talking about January, February, and March releases. I just feel like there's always so many books that I want to talk about in these videos that I think it makes sense to kind of split them up and talk about them month by month. And also there's a lot of books that I think are coming out this year that don't have release dates yet, so hopefully we'll be getting those throughout the year. And then I can mention them in later anticipated releases videos, but today is going to be January through March, and I'm very excited to discuss them all with you. I just love seeing the year ahead and seeing all of the new books that are going to be coming out this year. So yeah, let's just hop into it and start chatting about some new releases in 2023. Okay, the first book I want to mention has actually already released, and I'm also currently reading it, and that is Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. This came out on January 3rd. So in this book, you're following Bradley and Celine, who used to be friends in their childhood, but something kind of caused them to not be friends anymore, and now in high school they're sort of rivals. They are both some of the top students at their school, and they also both plan to go to law school, so there's kind of that competition as well. And then they both start attending this survival camp that if you win, the grand prize is a scholarship, so they have to kind of start to work together during the survival camp while also facing the kind of history that they have. And like I said, I am currently reading it, and I'm almost done with it actually. I'm really enjoying it. It's really cute. I'm just a big fan of childhood best friends to enemies to lovers. I feel like that is just when enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers just is so great because there is that history, and I also just really love the characters so far. Both Bradley and Celine definitely have very distinct personalities, and they're almost kind of Grumpy Sunshine vibes to them. It's just so cute and so fun, and I just love Talia Hibbert's writing. I think she is so funny, so I knew before I even was reading it that I was going to be anticipating this book, but I can give you a little sneak peek into my thoughts because I am currently reading it. Alright, the next book I talk about is one that I feel like I have to mention, even though I feel like I'm not the most excited about it, or just I'm not as excited as other people, but that is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. This is the sequel to Ninth House, which came out years ago. I think it came out in 2019. I think it came out the year that I started my booktube channel. And Ninth House was one of those books that I definitely didn't love it, but I was surprised that I did enjoy it somewhat. I think I gave it 4 stars. That's probably more of a 3 for me, but it definitely has an interesting premise and a really interesting cast of characters. So the sequel is still following Alex, who is the main character from the first book. In the first book, you are following Alex as she is the only survivor of this traumatic event. It is a unsolved multiple homicide, and she is the only survivor, and because of that she ends up getting this offer to go to Yale, and then she kind of discovers these secret societies there and the magic that's there, and it's definitely a very interesting premise. I think if I were to read Hellbent, which I think I'm going to, I'm definitely gonna have to do a reread of Ninth House because a lot of that information has left my brain. And I don't want to say too much about what Hellbent is about because it is the sequel, but it does seem like maybe the character Darlington might be playing more of a role in the second book, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, definitely one that I'm intrigued by and will potentially pick up. I definitely am not as excited about it as a lot of other people, but still intrigued. And I'm also interested to see where this series goes because it was originally going to be, I think, a 12-book series, and now it's going to be a trilogy. So interested to see how this all continues and how Leigh Bardugo wraps up this story and everything. But yeah, this was a long-awaited sequel, and I feel like part of the reason why I'm excited for this is just because there are so many other people who are excited about it too. Oh, and Ninth House came out on January 10th, which the day I'm filming it is today. So by the time this video goes up, it's out. The next book, also published on January 10th, so it is now out, is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is by Heather Fawcett. But I'm so excited for this book. It seems like it's going to be right up my alley. It's kind of giving not the same sort of plot or anything to this book, but the same sort of vibes as The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Just a very cozy, low stakes fantasy with a romance, and that just seems like everything I could want. And reading the description, I feel like the kind of quick little blurb at the beginning kind of gives the best description of it. It says, a curmudgeonly, am I saying that right? I don't know, professor journeys to a small town in the far north to study fairy folklore and discovers dark fae magic, friendship, and love in this heartwarming and enchanting fantasy. How do you feel about that, Sam? Yep. Because this book is described as heartwarming and enchanting, that makes me so excited to pick this up. It feels like it's going to be like a really cozy, magical romance. And a lot of the like early reviews that I was seeing of this book are really, really great. A lot of people are loving it. It's like a new favorite for them. So I'm really excited. This just seems right up my alley. Okay, the next book is one that I am so excited about. And I'm sure if you've watched any of my videos before, you're not surprised to hear me talk about this. But Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare is coming out January 31st. And I am counting down the days. This is the final book in the Lost Hours trilogy, and this is one that, again, I don't want to say too much about it because this trilogy kind of as a whole is somewhat of a sequel to the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. It follows the children of the characters in the Infernal Devices, so I don't want to say too much, but I absolutely love this series. It's definitely more of a like character-based trilogy, I feel like, for Cassandra Clare. The plot, what plot, you know, I mean, there is a little bit of one, there is a bit of conflict, but I'm more so in it for the characters and all of the relationships and the angst, and I'm really concerned about what's going to happen to these characters. I just know it's going to make me sob, so I'm very excited. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is The Davenports by Crystal Marquis. This is coming out also on January 31st. This has been described as kind of like a Bridgerton-esque type of historical romance, but it also says that it offers a glimpse into a period of African American history that is often overlooked, and I think it's also based off of like a true, or it's based off of a real family. Yeah, it says it's inspired by the real life story of the Patterson family, which is really interesting. I'm definitely gonna have to look into that. But the Davenports are one of the few like Black families that are very rich at the time, and they're throwing lots of parties and all of these things, and I think it's following some of the Davenport daughters and their friends and them finding love and relationships and all of the drama that comes with that. Like, I think one of their childhood friends that turned into a maid for the Davenport sisters, she, I think, starts to fall for one of the brothers of the Davenports, like one of the Davenport kids. Yeah, it just seems like it's gonna be really fun, really messy. It does kind of give those Bridgerton vibes, but hopefully I will enjoy it more than I did the first Bridgerton book. But I think this is also gonna be a series, which I think is really exciting. I wonder if we're going to, I think we're going to see multiple characters in this one book, but I'm wondering if each book we're going to get more of certain relationships, kind of like the setup of the Bridgerton series. I don't know. It just sounds really, really great. And I definitely feel like this book could definitely be categorized into the like historical romance genre, which is definitely a genre that I've read some books from and have enjoyed and want to read more from. So I'm just really excited. Also, this cover is so, so stunning. I love the bright yellow. It's so beautiful. All right, next book I want to mention is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is a standalone prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree, which I read, was that last year? I think, or no, 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. Oh no, I hate it here. I think it was in the summer of 2021 where I read Priory of the Orange Tree finally after wanting to read it for years, and I really enjoyed it. It's such a interesting fantasy world. There's dragons, there's a lot of political intrigue, there's lots of characters kind of spread across a lot of different places in this world, which I think is always so fun. It's so interesting to see characters all on different paths that end up kind of connecting and coming together in the end. So I'm just really excited. I think it's going to be so good. Plus this cover, so stunning. Again, just obsessed. So I don't really want to read too much of the description. I kind of just want to go into this book and see what happens, but I'm really excited because I did love Priory, and I'm just really interested to see what is going to happen in this prequel. I also don't know if I said when this comes out, but A Day of Fallen Night comes out on February 28th. Okay, next we have The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest, and this also comes out on February 28th, and this just seems like such a fun romance. I'm so excited about it. So we're following Lily Green, who it says she feels inadequate compared to the rest of her very accomplished family, and she also has been wanting to become an editor for children's books, but she's kind of been stuck in the nonfiction genre. And to kind of get an escape from the things in her life that she is struggling with, she starts corresponding with the author of her favorite fantasy series. And then like months later, she is trying to find a date for her sister's wedding, and she meets her neighbor whose name is Nick, and he just seems like the perfect person to do that. And she doesn't realize that he is actually the author of her favorite fantasy series, and I think Nick ends up finding out that she was the one he was corresponding with that whole time, so I think he tries to find her another date for her sister's wedding, but then, you know, feelings start to develop between them, and it just sounds so fun. I love books about books or just like the industry, the publishing industry. I'm really excited to read this. It just seems so cute. I also do find it really fun when characters have this relationship in real life and online and they don't realize that they're the same person. I feel like I've read that in a few different romance books and it's always just so much fun. So this just seems really cute and I'm really excited to read this. I also feel like I don't know of many romance releases in 2023. Is this like the first one I've mentioned? It's one of the first ones I've mentioned. So definitely let me know any like romance releases in 2023 that are on your radar because I'm definitely looking for more to add to this list. Okay, the next 2023 release I want to talk about is called Nightbirds by Kate J. Armstrong, and this is also coming out February 28th. Also, if you've been wondering where I've been looking this whole time, I'm looking at my laptop screen. First of all, this cover is absolutely stunning. I think that's what initially drew me to looking into this book, but it says it's a dazzling new fantasy world full of whispered secrets and political intrigue. The magic of women is outlawed, but 4 girls with unusual powers have the ability to change it all. And that just sounds really interesting. I think it's following these 4 girls. I don't know if they're sisters or if they're just friends, but they have to use their magic for different clients. And they know once that season has ended that they are going to have to marry a great house lord and become mothers to the next generation of nightbirds before their powers fade away. But I think that they don't want that for themselves. I think they're realizing that there are more like secrets and things that they aren't being told about their futures. So I think that they run from that future and that fate. And it just seems really interesting. And the end of the description says that they must make a choice to stay in their gilded cage or to remake the city that put them there in the first place. It just sounds really intriguing, and the fact that it even says like there's a lot of political intrigue in the little blurb at the top of this just makes me really excited. I feel like that's something that I always enjoy in fantasy books. So very excited about this. I think I've said I'm very excited about this after every single book that I've talked about, so sorry. All right, the next book I want to talk about is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. This is by Jessie Q. Sutanto, who wrote the Diary for Aunties series. This is coming out on March 30th. And like I said, this is the same author as Diary for Aunties, and I adore that book, and I just think it's so much fun, and this seems like it's going to be kind of a similar sort of like cozy mystery type of vibe. So in this book, you're following Vera Wong, and it says in the description that she is a lonely little old lady, but she owns this tea shop, and one morning she comes down and sees that there is a man who is dead in the middle of her tea shop. And she discovers that there is a flash drive on the body of this man, and of course she calls the police, but she does swipe that flash drive first. And it's funny, it says that she is sure she would be able to do a better job than the police possibly could, because nobody sniffs out a wrongdoing quite like a suspicious Chinese mother with time on her hands. And it just sounds so silly, like I just cannot wait. So I think she's gonna be trying to figure out who the murderer is and if it's like one of her customers, and it just sounds so fun and chaotic and messy and silly. It kind of gives the same vibes as Diary for Aunties for me. Just very like silly, but a cozy mystery. Very excited. I think it's going to be really fun to read. Also, I think Vera Wong's is not being released March 30th. I think it's March 14th. Goodreads is telling me 2 different dates, so unsure about why Goodreads is doing that, but I think it's coming out on March 14th. All right, the next book is one that I just recently found out about. It's the London Seance Society. This is by Sarah Penner, who wrote The Lost Apothecary, which I read again a couple years ago, and I enjoyed it, so definitely interested in checking out more from this author. And this is another one where I'm seeing different days for the release. I'm sorry if my dates have been wrong. Goodreads is just doing me dirty. I'm seeing March 21st and March 7th, so I'm unsure about what is the real day. Amazon is saying March 7th, so we'll go with March 7th. So this book, you're following 2 different women. One of them is able to conjure spirits to kind of figure out the person who is responsible for murdering them, and then we have another woman who has come to Paris to find some answers about her sister's death. So I believe she begins to kind of understudy and shadow the woman who is known for conjuring spirits, but then I think the 2 of them kind of get stuck in the middle of this different mystery that is going on, and it just sounds really interesting. And again, I've read from this author before and have liked a previous book by them, so I think I will enjoy this. I think there's some fun, mysterious aspects of this book. It also says in the genres that it's a fantasy. I mean, it does have something to do with conjuring spirits, so it just seems like it has a few different elements in a book that I enjoy, so I'm definitely excited about this one as well. well. All right, so the last 2023 release I'm going to talk about in this video is Hamra in the Jungle of Memories. This is by Hannah Alkov, and this is coming out March 28th. So this is a middle grade novel, and I have seen other books by this author. Queen of the Tiles is one of them, which is like a book about Scrabble, which just seems like something I should read. Yeah, Queen of the Tiles and The Weight of Our Sky, I've definitely like seen those covers and I recognize those books, but this is a middle grade novel, and it says it's a Malaysian spin on Little Red Riding Hood, so I love a good retelling. I think this is going to be something I really enjoy. But in this book, you're following Hamra, whose 13th birthday has kind of gotten forgotten, and in her frustration over that, she runs into the jungle, but she forgets kind of the one rule, and that is to ask permission before entering the jungle. There's also another rule where you cannot take what is not yours, and Hamra ends up picking a certain plant within the jungle, so then this creature, a were-tiger, starts kind of following her and demanding payment for what she has done. So then she goes on to this quest throughout the jungle to kind of fix the things that she has done, and it just seems really cute, very magical, and like I said, it's a retelling and I love a good retelling. So even though I don't read a ton of middle grade, this one has definitely caught my attention. Also another book that has a very, very stunning and cute cover, and yeah, I just absolutely love the cover as well, but definitely a middle grade that I will be checking out in 2023. But yeah, those are some of my anticipated releases for January, February, and March. I definitely did not mention everything that's on my radar, and I always am constantly adding to my 2023 releases shelf on Goodreads, so I will have that linked below if you want to go and check that out. And also, like I said, I am planning on posting these anticipated releases videos throughout the year, so the next one I'm sure I will post either at the end of March or beginning of April with April, May, and June releases. Also, feel free to let me know in the comments any 2023 releases that you're looking forward to. I obviously only discussed the first few months of the year, but if you have any within January, February, or March, or just throughout the whole year that you're excited for, I'd love to know because I'm always looking for new releases to add to my Goodreads shelf. I also will try to update my Storygraph 2023 releases shelf in case you do not use Goodreads and you use Storygraph. I'm just not as good as keeping up with that, but I will try to update that as well. But yeah, those are some of my anticipated releases from January through March, and I hope you all enjoyed this video and found some new releases to check out. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.